Hey up guys, Jamie here, Keeping It Bonsai. I am going to be working on my Chinese elm today. Going to get that repotted, a little bit late to the party. What are we today? We are the 28th of February. We keep having our usual hot cold spells, so it is starting to grow already. It didn't lose all of its leaves this winter. I have only had it for a couple of years, but it's still in the old garden centre soil that it came in, so we'll be getting that repotted today. I'm going to try and get it in a smaller pot and hopefully remove the rock that's in there as well. But before we crack on with that, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's found the channel already. This is my first dedicated video for this channel. All the previous videos came from my other channel, Keeping It Koi. I've had that channel now for about 3 or 4 years. If you want to learn more about koi, pond building and my Japanese garden, I'll put a link up here somewhere and down in the description as well for Keeping It Koi. Today, let me spin you around and show you what we're going to be working on. Yeah, so this is what we're going to be working on today. This is my store-bought Chinese elm. It's a lovely tree. There are a couple of things I would like to change on it over the next couple of years. This branch here actually comes out from right round the back down here. In fact, let me spin it around in. But yeah, this branch that looks like a good side branch actually comes from right down in here, up and then out to roughly where it should be. Comes up here and then out round there to make it look like a decent placed side branch. So hopefully I'm going to try and graft at some point a nice branch from here, which will raise this branch, and that means I can also then get rid of this branch up here, which is quite an ugly looking branch, and it's still got a lot of the wire scars from when it arrived. And you can see where I made a big cut when I bought it. It hasn't healed fantastically, so I may need to take a look at that this year. Definitely needed to get hold of some better bonsai cut paste, that's for sure. That was just a cheap tree cut paste from the old store of Bay. It's growing well, lots and lots of new buds and shoots forming. And what I want to do is get it out of this pot. It is a lovely rock. The downside is these store-bought ones, it seems to be concreted in, so it's going to be a bit of a task to get it out. Now normally I would show you how I'm going to get it out of the pot, but this is going to be an absolute nightmare and probably take me quite a while, because the roots are going to be growing right under there and around, and it's not going to be fun. So this video would be a very long video if you watched me try and get this out of the pot. So I will get it out and snap back to you once it's out. And there we have it. Managed to get it out using a knife and a root hook. But yeah, you can see in the pot that rock went right under. Look. So that was fun trying to get that out of there, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that rock out of that pot. It is well and truly concreted in. We'll ignore that. The pot I've decided to use for this tree is under my bonsai tools. Just a bog standard, cheap old, multifunctional little blue pot. Yeah, it's a relatively deep pot. It's the deepest one I had in that size, and I think that will be just about right by the time I've removed the soil. It's deeper than the pot that it came out of, and I'm pretty sure this tree will love to get in some proper bonsai soil as well. So I'm going to set the camera back up and we'll start working some roots. Yeah, so firstly, like always, what I'm going to do is start by just teasing the soil off the top. See where the nabari starts. There's a reason I'm here down the allotment in the greenhouse today, so apologise if you can hear the traffic on the busy main road behind us. But I'm down here because we are the 28th of February today, obviously in England, so we're still getting the odd freezing temperature at night. So what I'm going to do, once this is repotted, I'm going to leave it in the greenhouse for a few weeks until we get proper right into March, wait for the warmer weather. But yeah, this tree, you can certainly tell when you get these trees from like garden centres and whatnot, that they try and make the top of the tree look as pretty as they can, but they never seem to care about the roots. This doesn't have a very good root system at all. We'll see what we're left with. Yeah, as you can see, all I'm basically doing is just teasing and raking out the soil in a radial pattern as well, to try and help keep the roots as straight as possible. There's an awful lot of twisting. Luckily, there isn't too many white roots in here. I don't know if you can see how well you can see that there, but there only seems to be 1 or 2, so maybe it wasn't too early. I've got a nice root mat on the bottom, so at least it's got some roots. Because of the type of soil they put these in, I wasn't expecting it to have anything special down here, but let's switch to the old root hook. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to have anything special, but trying to be careful not to damage the top half of the tree. This might take me a couple of repots to get this into something decent. Well, I'm going to finish tackling this. I do want to bare root it as much as possible, because I want to try and get some better quality soil within this. For those of you that found my channel quite early, you'd have seen a video I put out. My very first video that I switched over to this channel was how I make my bonsai soil. Well, I've upgraded and updated the way I do things now, but because that video is actually a couple of years old. Moved over from my other channel. There we go, and that's what we're left with. So yeah, just bear in mind as well, guys, if you're working in a warm greenhouse, this greenhouse down the allotment here does have a greenhouse heater, so it is relatively warm in here. Just make sure to keep your roots moist and don't let them fully dry out, because that could be the worst thing you can do. First thing I need to do is untangle the roots as best we can. There isn't an awful lot of roots on this, so I won't be pruning too much off today. Yeah, it's got a relatively flat base for this type of tree from a garden centre, so I'm not too unhappy about that. This has got quite a large canopy and not an awful lot of roots. We'll just have to make do with what we've got and try not to take off too much. As long as there's no fully crossing roots, I'll be happy on this occasion, because yeah, I don't know how well you can see that, but this root comes from right down here and crosses right back over here. I've got this root sticking out down here, and that needs to come off a bit shorter so it can sit more flat in the pot. First thing I'm going to do is I'll take a look at the root at the bottom here, see roughly how high I want it to be, and take it off about there. That should now sit a lot more flat, a little bit. And the second thing I'm going to do is shorten this root crossing over here, because there's not a lot of roots. So each year I'll come in and shorten that back, because I don't know how well you can see that there. We do have a nice root coming out from there, so maybe I will go a little bit shorter. How they grow these trees, I don't know. It's like they grow them in like the smallest pot possible, and all the roots just twist around each other. Not ideal, but as I say, there's not a lot of roots to keep this healthy. That root growing straight up can come off that. Don't want anything growing straight up. And you are better off doing as much root work as you feel comfortable with the tree, because get as much out as you can that you actually feel comfortable with, to keep the tree happy, healthy and alive. Because the more you do now, next time you come to repot it in a couple of years time, there'll be less work to do, and the roots you have will be a lot better and better off. But it's just a case of, because yeah, ideally I'd like to, I don't know how well you guys can see that there, I would like to remove all of that, but that is pretty much all of the roots on this side of the tree. I will be lowering this tree eventually. I really like the look of that down there. I think that's just about it for the amount I'm going to chop off today. I'll just shorten these really long roots, just so they don't all twist around the pot too much. That's about all I'm going to do, I think, because that's not a lot of root left for a big tree like it is. So let me clear it up again and we'll get the pot ready. So here's the pot that I'm going to be using. The tree fits quite nicely in there, to be honest. I'm quite happy with that. So we'll get some soil in there. I've got my drainage screens down here as well, so let me get that started. So yeah, you may have seen from a previous video that I've always used scrim tape, which is like plasterers joining tape, because it's cheap and easy to use, and if your pot's clean enough, it's even self-adhesive and it will stick to the bottom of your pot. And it's very, very cheap, comes in a very long roll, and good to use. But I've recently found these on Temu. Obviously most people have heard of Temu by now, but they're very, very fine, small round circled drainage screens. Basically they're actually proper drainage screens, or sold as drainage screens, and I think I paid £1.30 for a packet of 100. So well, we'll give them a go. If they work and last well, then they'll be just as good as the old scrim tape. So I'll put 2 in the pot. Yeah, they work quite nicely. And because of the size of them and the fact that this pot has got quite a flat base, I don't even think I'm going to bother wiring them in. I think they'll be fine just like that. So we'll get the tree in the pot and go from there. Now, I mentioned earlier that I've updated my soil that I use. Now, this is my soil. And you can see there's now some pinky red bits in it. That is molar clay. Obviously you can still see some pine bark in there as well as the white perlite. There's now some zeolite as well. And what I've done, I've switched out the gravel that I used to use, or potting grit, for molar clay and zeolite. And I've also switched out the ericaceous soil, and I'll show you that in a bit more detail shortly and tell you why I've done that. But first off, put a layer of soil in the bottom. So I don't want to make this too high up, because the base of this tree root is still quite thick for this year, and we'll chop it down a bit shorter next year. But again, what I want to try and do is, as I'm putting it into the pot, make sure all these roots are facing out radially, hopefully in the right direction, to make it better for next year. There is one more. It looks like I'm going to just trim off a little wiggle, get it down in the soil. This root just isn't working out. I will leave it a bit longer than needed, because I do want to try and straighten this root out and keep it in there. So if I can get it to just bend this way for this year, hopefully this part of the root will straighten out or stay in that angle. Then I can cut it off at the bend next time we repot it. Yeah, and I'm just going to try and point all these roots in the direction that I want. Now again, a lot of these roots that we're seeing in this video won't be in the finished design, but there's not an awful lot of root on the tree. That'll have to do for this year. Now, hold the tree steady. Fill the pot up. There's not been many repots using this soil, so I can't tell you if it's fantastic or not, but I'll let you know next year, depending on how well the trees have all done. Again, you may have seen me do this in other videos. I'm sure a lot of you that are following this channel will know what I'm doing, but what I'm basically doing is making sure that the soil gets down into all of the roots. Because obviously the surface roots stop the soil from penetrating and getting the bottom roots. I'm just making sure. You'll notice as I poke the soil down, it shrinks. It's filling in all the nooks and crannies. I'll continue doing this and I'll snap back to you. And there it is, guys. So yeah, what I'm going to do is just give it a watering in. And this watering can has certainly seen better days. So yeah, I actually managed to get the rock out of the pot. Unfortunately, where they'd concreted it in, it has clogged up one of the drainage holes, so I'm going to need to re-drill that. I've tried tapping it out with the hammer and some bits of tools that I've got down here, but unless I whack it, and then that'll break the pot, because it's other than that, it's quite a nice shaped, nice sized pot as well. I've got a lot of trees that could fit in a pot of that sort of size. I mean, maybe even a beech. So yeah, but what I like about this rock is I think this will be a perfect rock for root over rock. I want to try and knock some of this concrete off from around here, but by them concreting it, it's got a real nice flat base, so it stands up quite nicely. But if I can just knock this edge off with a hammer and rock chisel, which I've got at home, so I'm going to take this rock home and do that, I think it would make a really nice root on rock. Sit a tree in here, roots down there, and lots of craggly little nooks and crannies in there. I think that would look really quite nice in a pot, maybe even back in the same pot once it's had a bit of work done to it. It was, as you can see, very difficult getting it out of this pot. I can't even now get it back in properly. It's yeah, even a pot, no, it's going to need to be a bit deeper. Maybe that pot eventually, but yeah, to start off with, I want it a bit deeper because I'm going to do things the traditional way. We've all seen videos lately of people using muck to stick their trees to it, wrapping it in cling film with some sphagnum moss, that kind of thing, to keep the roots growing. I'm going to do this the traditional way. So for those of you that don't know the traditional way, is plant your tree in here, tie it down, make sure all the roots are where you want them to be, pop it in a deep pot, very deep pot, and bury it up to the very tippity top of the root, so bury it up to here. And then the year after, or depending on how well the roots are doing, each year lift it ever so slightly higher in the pot, so the soil line comes down each year, move it down a centimetre or two, so the roots that are still in the soil are still feeding the tree basically, until you then get it to the soil lines at the base of your rock where you want it to be.
Oh, and there's the final product. I'm going to take it outside in a minute and give it a proper watering. But yeah, that actually looks quite good in that pot. Although, as I say, it could have done with being a little bit bigger, but it looks good in the pot. So yeah, what I was saying earlier though, my plan is, obviously big branches have been removed in several places on this, so it is quite well scarred. But this branch here and this branch here, this is the one that's coming from right down low at the back here, and obviously this one's coming out of a really weird place there, is to swap them two branches and hopefully try and graft a branch from here and just have one pad in the middle of where them two are. I'm quite happy with this one, and the rest, to be honest. It does need a little bit of a prune, so I'll get that done today as well. The great thing with elms like this is directional pruning is so easy to do. It really is. All you basically want to do, if you want to see like this particular shoot, I'm going to keep this pad for now until I do a graft probably next year now. But this shoot obviously is growing out towards the back here. It's not going up, but what you want to do is pick a leaf that's facing in the direction you want it to grow. So I've got this leaf here facing this way, and the next shoot will come out in that general direction. I'll give this a little bit of a prune up and a tune up. Now, they do also backbud quite well as well, from older wood, so that's one of the reasons I'm not going to worry about grafting it this year. I want my roots to get as healthy as possible first. You might notice as well that I've not wired the tree into the pot. Just can't get the angle on that. Yeah, I've not wired the tree into the pot, and there's a reason for that, because it's going to be living in the greenhouse for a few weeks. I'm still heating this greenhouse. It's actually about 20 degrees centigrade in here, whereas it's only 8 degrees outside. Yeah, I'm just going to tinker away at this. I won't make you watch the whole thing, and then I'll snap back to you once I've finished and I'm happy with the design. Yeah, I haven't taken too much off, as you can see by the pile over here. I think that'll do for now. I want this tree to have a good, strong, healthy growing season this year to recover. and then that way in a couple of years I can proper start hacking at some of the larger, more twisted roots, and do it that way. I haven't taken this branch off just yet round the back, so yeah, this branch, one of me kind of back branches, I grew this out this way to be more on the bend, so it looks better from the front. Don't know, maybe I keep the back branch, maybe I won't. What do you think? But I'm quite happy with this pad. As I say, these two will be removed in the future, and I'll either graft or hopefully get a bud coming from that bend there, and then the rest has all just been lightly trimmed. I did a big prune on this end of last year, around November time, and yeah, it just needed a bit of haircut where the new shoots are coming through and growing in the wrong direction. What you're basically looking for is, or the way I do it, is anything growing inwards like that was, anything crossing, so any crossing branches, and anything growing straight up or straight down basically. But yeah, I'm going to take this out and give it a big water in a minute. But first, I did mention about the new soil that I'm using, so let me spin you around and show you and explain that. So this is the new soil that I'm using instead of the Ericaceous compost. Bailey's of Norfolk Limited is where it came from. Spreading nationwide since 1976. Now they're a massive topsoil specialist, as you can see by their website, norfolktopsoil.co.uk. Now this isn't a sponsored video. I paid for these bags. I bought a crate of 20 of these bags, so it wasn't the cheapest. They worked out about $4.95 a bag, I think, buying them in a crate of 20. Otherwise I think they're about £6 a bag. But this particular packet, it doesn't really say a lot on the bag itself. It's plain on the other side. It was left out in the rain, so apologies that it's absolutely sodden wet in there, but yeah, let's get some out and have a look. What it basically is, it's a loam based soil, so as you can see there, it holds water retention very, very well, but being a loam based soil, it's also very, very good free draining. Plop. But as you can see there as well, it doesn't clump, because it's a loam based soils don't clump. Get out of the greenhouse. It's been a bit damp out here, and apologies if it gets a bit breezy, but I'll give you a bit better look of the loam based soil out here, because you can see it better. I poured some on my growing patch. You can see it there. It's a very gritty, sandy, loam based soil. They do all different bags. It's mainly that in here, along with some perlite as well. That is my big hawthorn. And you look at the size of this trunk. That is a big old thick trunk, just thicker than a Coke can. So that is just starting to bud out. I don't know if you can see the little tiny buds on there. No, it's not going to focus. But, yeah, you can probably see the ones on the tips on there. But yeah, just starting to bud out. Don't really know what I'm going to do with this yet, but I only dug that out again around November last year. So spent the winter in the greenhouse, and I've recently moved it out here. Some of my beech seedlings that I grew from the other year. This is a pine that I've recently purchased and chopped. Big trunk chop on there, and then I'm hoping one of these new little shoots will zoom up this year and become the new leader, but we'll see. If not, I'll work something else out, because there's 3 branches that I've left on there. You should have seen the amount I took off as part of it, but it was a lot taller than that as well. But yeah, in fact the rest of it, I know that pines don't really root, but like I do with all my cuttings, they're all in here. There's a few smaller ones in the greenhouse, but people say pine don't root from cuttings, but I'm pretty sure I've got some that have. So yeah, stay tuned on that one. But yeah, and that is just pure of that soil, and you can see it's a very sandy and gritty soil. Now the bags I buy, oh, this is me new apple tree again that I purchased. It's quite tall at the minute, about 10 foot tall, but I'm planning on either air layering or chopping that down. It is a grafted tree, so there will be an air layer at sort of that point at the very least, but I might take a few more air layers from the top first, because it's actually got quite a good shape and taper to it. The only one bit, there's a bit of damage to the tree in here, but I can air layer just above that. And yeah, it's quite a nice tree. And then I think you've all seen these ones before. Walnut, horse chestnut, beech. I've actually chopped this down as well. But I keep beech. They're not beech, they're birch, silver birch. But yeah, I've chopped that right back again. As you can see, all the cuttings are just stuck in my pot. This was a new pine as well. That's just a cutting. Another silver birch. That was just a cutting. But people say you can't grow pine cuttings. Well, in a video that's coming very, very soon, I put some cuttings, just like I've done there, not as big as those cuttings. In fact, they were minuscule cuttings, but bits I cut off my pines, which pines were they? The Scots pines. Bits I cut off them last year. Just stuck in the pot like I've done with them, the same pot that I'm growing them in, and I cut them off middle of summer last year, or beginning of summer even last year, and they're still looking very alive and healthy, and it even looks like they're getting some buds on them themselves. So we will be taking a closer look at them very soon to see if they have actually rooted or whether they've just stayed green for 9 months. But we'll find out on that one together. But while I'm here, although you saw the greenhouse not long ago, it is actually quite a long time ago, because again it was filmed roughly in November last year, and been growing a lot in here since then. So let me spin you around one more time real quick and show you what's growing in here. Water butt, kettle, insulation foam, because there were some big gaps down the back, and they're all now, as you can see, all filled in, and it stays an awful lot more water in here now. But yeah, I am in a bit of a mess at the minute because it's winter and I've got things growing everywhere. Got some peas just started shooting. Got my spinach in there, but that was only planted last week, so that hasn't come up yet. But yeah, in that one I've got some French beans. A bit early for French beans, so they'll be potted on shortly and kept in the greenhouse. In there I've got some leeks, broccoli, some kind of onion, can't remember. I have just ordered some labels for this old greenhouse. Got mind your own business. Might do a bonsai using that, because it makes a real good carpet material. That was a cut-in from a Buxus. That looks like it's taken okay. This one, I really like this one. It's all leafing out quite nicely in here. This is also a silver birch from a seed I grew a couple of years ago now, so it's a little bit old. But this will be its third season. Yeah, ignore the wiring. I went to unwire it last week and the branches all sprung back up, so I've just loosely kept the wire on there, pulling the branches even further down than they were, just to try and hold a bit more of its shape. This is one of the Scots pines, so from one of these, this one's brother or sister, is the ones where I think I've managed to get some cuttings to grow. At the back there we have a Japanese black pine, lemon tree full of cuttings in there, another lemon tree, again loads of cuttings in there with a few more of the smaller pine cuttings, loads of lemon cuttings in there. There was some bok choy grown in there last year. I've left it in there because it stayed alive over the winter in here, so I was just going to see what happens to bok choy if it's left over a season. Every time it starts to flower and seed, I've been cutting them off to see what happens. Walnut cutting, just to see what happens with walnut cuttings. More pine cuttings from the 2 pine trees I've picked up recently. This is the other one that I've picked up, just sitting down here. Again, I've literally only just hacked away at the roots and the tree on that one, so that one's staying in the greenhouse for a couple more weeks. All these trays down here along the front, except for that one that's got tomatoes in that one, although that one, they've all kind of shriveled up a bit, so I don't know if that's too close to the heater or whatnot. I don't know, it might move that tray. But yeah, these 2 trays, this tray, this tray, this tray, this tray, and the big tray behind my gas stove, which was just placed there so you can see the tree a bit better. They are all my tree seeds that you probably saw me prep in an earlier video, including the ones that Gav from Not Another Bonsai channel gave me, and under each one is the bags that they came out of. As I say, they spent 3 months in the fridge, and then they've been potted up in here. A couple of them, I've got a couple of the trays have got little shoots like that. I don't know what this one was. This is snake bark maple in there. Whether that is a snake bark maple shoot or not, I don't know. I can't remember what they look like. Could just be a weed, although they have been in the greenhouse, so there shouldn't be too many weeds in there, although I do think that is a weed. But we'll see. That's the only shoot coming up so far. Got some more pine cuttings up there. Those are the cuttings from last year from this tree, and they're growing quite well. Got some more French beans there because I do like my French beans. Field maple, apple tree, another buxus, loads more tomatoes. These 2 trays are doing really well. That is the cutting off my larch, and that is actually starting to bud out. Whether it's just because the cutting was done very recently, only a week or so ago. But, yeah. That's the larch it was cut from. So I don't know if larch cuttings work, but we'll find out. Again, if anybody knows if larch cuttings work very well, let me know. And then in these trays I've got my mosses. And these 2 trays, they haven't done brilliantly, but they're both sphagnum moss. Up here I think we've got more sphagnum moss in these green trays, and they're up high. They're doing really well. Growing my own sphagnum moss. Growing my own sphagnum moss for all my air layers. What's in this one? That looks like a very dried out sphagnum moss. This roof doesn't actually leak, but the amount of condensation drips that you get, the stuff at the top doesn't normally need watering. Now this is just a moss that I found down here at the allotment. Not too sure what type of moss this is. Again, lots of grass growing in this one because it was only dug up from the allotment. But if anybody knows what type of moss this one is, can you let me know, because it's quite a nice moss. Very thick, very carpety, very fluffy as well. Probably not ideal for the top of bonsai pots because it's a good inch thick in places. And I'll continue taking the grass out of that one shortly. And there is just the moss off my roof at home, and so's that one. Yeah, they look like they need a bit more water up there. It's crazy, crazy. I mean, I don't know if you can hear it dripping or I've seen any of the big drips, but just I suppose it depends on the luck of the draw. One's just hit me in the head. Luck of the draw where they are. But yeah, last one that I missed. This one, this is it's been cut now, but this is a seedling from last year that grew, one of the snake bark maples. So yeah, the snake bark is, I don't know how well that's
if it's going to focus. No. But yeah, the snake bark look is just starting to appear, and I got another 15 or 20 of them at home. Another one here as well. Another little snake bark maple. Things are going good. And one other one that we haven't really mentioned, the beech air layer. Going to a more detailed video about that one, again coming soon. But that hopefully looks like it's taken, because there are a few buds coming on it, so we'll see. So yeah, apologies, this was a bit of a long one, because for me, for you it's only been a week since the last video, but for me it's been almost 6 months. November I think was the last dedicated bonsai video I did on my other channel, whereas now I've got a fully dedicated channel, so I will try and keep the videos coming as regularly as possible. They probably won't be every week, because I've got another channel obviously to run, and I work full time as well, so I'm just still picking the grass out of the tray. Yeah, so another channel, another job, you know, I haven't got the time for everything, but I will keep you updated on all the bonsais that you've seen and the ones I'm keeping in my collection, which I do have. Fingers! I do have over 150 trees. I did have over 500, but I've moved quite a few on this winter. 2 other trees, very quickly. 2 other trees that I've recently picked up. That's why again they're in the greenhouse. Both peach trees. Went to sort a garden out for a customer of mine. I'm a handyman, for those of you that don't know, and they've got a peach tree, and it had sent runners along the edge of the garden with lots of trees coming up. There was about 15 in total, but these were the 2 with the thickest trunks that I could get out with a bit of root on them. That one actually has a really good nabari, but it's a real straight trunk, so I'm going to let that just settle and grow for this year, and then that'll probably have a big trunk chop down here somewhere to hopefully send some shoots out in that kind of direction. This one though does have some lovely movement in it already, and this one is already budding out, and there's a few little suckers growing down there, but again I'm just going to let them settle in and grow for this year. Once a few shoots and leaves are out, any of the stuff that's unwanted, like suckers right at the base, can then come off. But for now I just want it to leaf out and get some sun, and yeah, I think I put a bit too much perlite in that one, but yeah, so that is where I'm up to. Loads more to come, loads more to do. Drip, I don't know if you saw that one, just whacked me right in the nose. So yeah, it does stay very, very damp in here, but yeah, everything's coming to life. Spring is on its way, especially in the greenhouse because of how warm it is in here. I say the heater's down there on the floor. That has cost me a fortune this year. Box of paraffin, that's 20 litres, and I had 10 before that as well, so I've gone through 30 litres of paraffin since, when did I light the thing? 1st of February, just to start spring a bit early. So 30 litres of paraffin in a month, because it's the 2nd from last day of February, only because it's a leap year. But yeah, what can you do? Cost me a fortune, it has. But things are growing. All the fruit and veg are growing nice and early, as you've seen, because it is an allotment after all. And again, I've been working hard over the winter. There's one plot left to do, which is the pumpkin patch. That's this one here. Obviously that's me bonsai grow out plot. They're not bonsais, I'm growing them on a bit because I want to change my hedges in my front garden. But yeah, obviously you've seen all the bonsais round the corner there. What have I got growing in here at the moment? I've got 5 sycamores, 2 oak trees, hazelnut, that little pine there, that is actually a proper seedling, that's not a cutting, the rest are all cuttings in there.
That's a Japanese black pine that I'm trying to grow out. Got a couple of conker trees in here as well. These were cuttings that I rooted at home that I planted in the autumn. A couple didn't survive, but then 3 look like they have. Bits of, don't know what juniper they're from, but I think that was the Goldcrest juniper, and that is the blue summit juniper. Can't remember off the top of my head. That is an ash tree that was actually growing in the allotment when I took it over. That is a cut-in from a yew tree. This one, I really like the shape on this one. This is another little silver birch. Be taking the wire off this one soon as well. And then a lot of them are cuttings. There are a couple of trees in there amongst the cuttings, but the majority of them are just cuttings. It's just started to rain. Very quickly, another video that is coming very, very soon. Unfortunately, I can't do it today, I haven't got time. But in this messy area behind my allotment, will remember me soil sieve. If you haven't seen the videos on that soil sieve, go onto my other channel, Keeping It Coy, and check that out. That is a beast. But yeah, we had there's quite a few shoots coming from the same root system, but none as big and as thick as this. And this is a slowberry tree, and it's got quite some nice movement to the low down trunk there, but I chopped it down like that without putting anything on the top, just expecting it to die off. But I don't know how well you can see that. There's quite a few buds coming from this, so it's still alive. So it's quite close to the polytunnel, but I am going to try and get that out with a few roots and see if we can continue to grow that. The rest of these slowberry trees, although this was my first year on the allotment last year, the berries when I took it over beginning of summer weren't anything special. So I might keep a couple of the bigger ones on here and see what happens with them. But yeah, that one is definitely coming out and going in a pot. And I say the pumpkin patch still needs working, but then over this side, done quite a lot. These bits of timber are going to be used to build something for this bed. It's had all new manure put on it end of last year, and this bed has all now been worked and ready to go. Had some manure mixed in as well. I've put an extra path through the middle. Going to have tomatoes this side, got a frame built all ready for that. The only little bits I haven't yet worked are the beds under there, because I haven't got anything yet to plant in them. These beds have all been worked. In there I've got some lettuces, and in the same in this one, you can kind of see that through the grass. They're all surrounded by eggshells to try and keep the slugs off. In the net, all been worked as well. Got 3 nice rows with a path going round, so I can work and walk on it without getting muddy. My paths are all finished right the way around the plot. It's another one of my new apple trees, and there is another apple tree over here too. Yes, it's a bit cluttered at the minute, but that little mini shed is going to be moved a couple of feet that way, and that elderberry bush is coming down. But yeah, all in all, things are going good down the allotment. So plenty more bonsai stuff to come. You'll see me digging up that stump hopefully soon, and then we'll go from there. I've got a few more spring jobs to get done at home first. A lot more trees need repotting. But, I'm not going to be one of these channels that shows you a video for every tree I repot, because you'll still be watching me repot come winter next year. I think I've got about 30 or 40 that I need to repot, and I'm not going to put 30 or 40 repotting videos out. It would be ridiculous. But you've seen me do one. I might do one other one, just to if I've got one with a better root system, to show you what it should look like. And yeah. So on that note, guys, thanks all for watching. Like the video if you haven't already. Apologies for the drips on the camera. And we will catch you on the next one.